Thank you, Speaker. I know the people in my electorate of Ryan are very concerned about integrity in politics and government. During my election campaign, time and again, the people of Ryan raised integrity as a primary concern, and it wasn't hard to see why. In that campaign period, Our Democracy surveyed Australians about integrity, and the results from my electorate of Ryan were rather telling. 98% supported a federal anti-corruption body, 97% supported caps on political donations, 100% supported disclosure of who makes political donations, 93% believe large political donations undermine our democracy, and 93% supported limits on election campaign spending, 98% supported disclosure of professional lobbying of politicians, and 100% supported truth in political advertising laws. Pretty convincing, Ryan. So I ran a forum about integrity. It was extremely well attended, and it was abundantly clear from the nature of the questions and the robust discussions what was of most concern to people. They said that a lot of Australian voters had disengaged from politics and suggested that may have even been an intended side effect of the bad behaviour of MPs. There was curiosity about how integrity commissions had been operating in Australian states and questions about why it has taken so long for a federal body to be established. So many will be very, very happy that this process has commenced. Questions and concerns were raised about the relationship between our corporatised and monopolised media and a lessening of integrity in our politics. There was debate about the extent of powers for an integrity commission and robust discussions about what people felt they should be and why. And this last point was the most voiced concern. People felt very strongly that reform of political donation laws and cash for access issues were critical to restoring integrity in politics. They said that people had switched off because they were not being listened to. The abiding sentiment was expressed like this: elected officials are meant to represent us, but too often they seem to represent major corporations, and some of those corporations are outright harmful, with deep pockets like fossil fuel companies, banks, large developers, etc., who are setting the policy agenda in Australia. Their profit motives gazump our well-being, they said, and they exercise undue control over our government. And furthermore, they said many of the channels through which corporate power exerts influence are informal and are hidden. So the loud and clear message was that this is seriously undermining political integrity and indeed our democracy. People desperately wanted integrity legislation, and they wanted it to address this fundamental issue, or they believed it would not do the job of cleaning up politics. So now, here we are with a new government and a parliament of quite a different complexion, because many wanted that change, and definitely a big part of that was about integrity. So in a welcome and very much overdue development, we have before us this National Anti-Corruption Commission Bill. The Attorney-General says it will create a commission with jurisdiction to investigate public sector corruption, as well as, and these are the aspects I want to focus on, prevention and education functions to bolster anti-corruption efforts in the Commonwealth public sector. This is an important first step, important because true integrity and real scrutiny is absolutely fundamental to the fair operation of our democracy and to putting the interests of everyday people, not the interests of politicians and lobbyists, at the heart of what we do. That's why we Greens in the crossbench have been advocating for a long time for integrity legislation that works. In fact, Senator Larissa Waters introduced a federal ICAC bill in 2019, which was passed by the Senate but rejected by the House. This current bill is a promising first step towards fixing our democracy, and we Greens are pleased to be working with the government to improve many aspects of it. But some important questions remain. The Attorney-General says the NAC will be able to investigate the conduct of public officials and those who seek to corrupt public officials. This includes the power to investigate ministers, parliamentarians and their staff, statutory office holders, employees and contractors of government agencies and contracted service providers. But what about other groups who exercise undue influence? How can the independence of the NAC be guaranteed while former politicians can be appointed as commissioners? And how can transparency really be achieved when the bar for public hearings is so high? And how will whistleblowers be protected? The recent budget contained a commitment of $262 million to the NACC over 4 years, but there's no independent budget process in place, meaning this could be significantly reduced by any future government at will. How can we guarantee this body isn't intentionally hobbled by future governments? A much broader concern hangs over all of the discussions around the Anti-Corruption Commission, and it's perhaps the biggest issue facing our democracy. What's the issue? I think it's that corporate influence can still buy political outcomes to the detriment of ordinary Australians. So just as with climate action and disaster response, any integrity and anti-corruption legislation and commission should be designed to address prevention and mitigation, not just cleaning up after the fact, which I believe is the limited remit of this new legislation. To achieve that prevention and that mitigation of corruption, we need structural, systemic change to the way Australian politics currently operates. This means putting caps on political donations, ending corporate donations to political parties, unlike Labor and the Coalition, who have taken over $230 million in corporate donations over the last 10 years. We Greens don't take corporate money. We strongly believe that that's corrupting true representation of ordinary Australians. So structural and systemic change means stopping cash for access meetings. It's frankly absurd that we allow a corporation to spend $27,500 to attend a special business luncheon with a minister and still call ourselves a democracy. This means disclosure of who makes political donations. It means disclosure of professional lobbying of politicians. It means putting a doorstop in the revolving door of lobbyists with the ear of government, including ex-politicians who land plush jobs in lobbying companies and then reappear in government or on influential boards in an endless rinse and repeat cycle. This means taking corporate interests out of our essential services and bringing them back into public ownership so we can have proper public scrutiny over decisions that affect our lives, rather than allowing corporate boards to make these decisions for us. And as the people of my electorate of Ryan have said to me, democracy should not be for sale to the highest bidders. It's time to legislate an anti-corruption commission. It's time politicians, ministers and government officials are held to account for corruption and misconduct. We Greens are negotiating for more robust possible legislation here, but let's not think it stops here. Job's done, democracy fixed. Because even if this NACC goes through, and it'll still be entirely legal if it goes through for the Labor and Liberal Party to take donations of, say, $100,000 from gas giant Santos in the same year that their government is signing off on environmental approvals for a new gas project. It'll still be legal for Santos to buy special access to a minister in that same year. So let's get moving on anti-corruption, but let's also get serious about corporate power in this country. Thank you.